Hi everyone, this is the Resin channel. Welcome back. Happy to host you here. Please give me a thumbs up if you like the content. Subscribe, leave me comments. Tell me if you want to talk about something specific, you have questions, you have ideas for next episodes. I have a long list of things I can talk about. However, it would be super great to talk about things that you are interested in. Today, we'll be talking about types of 3D printing. And you can encounter a number of abbreviations and many information about that over the internet. However, I would talk just about two types, and I will call them resin printing and filament printing. And honestly, I'm very familiar with filament printing, and I'm a practitioner for a couple of years. In case of resin printing, I'm a wannabe. So once I will have enough room, enough space, I will buy one and definitely will share some experiences with you. But for now, I can only talk from experience about filament printing. So let's start with it. Filament printing is also called FFF, standing for fused filament fabrication, or FDM, which is fused deposition modeling. So this is boring and not important, just for the sake of making it clear, so you know that there are some acronyms that are associated with 3D printing with filament. So filament printing, we talked a bit about that before, is basically creating objects with melted plastic. All 3D printing is about getting from the liquid state to the solid state, and in case of filament printing, it is just cooling the melted plastic down. You need some way to move around and to create this object, so the nozzle is moving, creating lines. Lines create layers, number of layers create an object, but the principle is always the same. In case of resin printer, you are basically turning a liquid resin into an object, solidifying this liquid using light, right? So instead of heating things up, you have something that is liquid and you solidify it with ultraviolet light. Resin printers are either called SLA or DLP. SLA stands just for stereolithography, and resin printers called SLA use laser that is moving around to solidify the resin. DLP is using DLP stands for digital light processing, which is basically a beamer or a projector under the as a source of light, of ultraviolet light, that solidifies the resin. So how it works? In case of filament printer, you have at the bottom, you have a bed or your work surface that you're building the model layer by layer. The nozzle can be going left, right, and up, creating the object at the bottom that is not moving. You can have different configurations when the bed itself is going down and the nozzle is just moving in X and Y axis. But the fundamental thing is that in case of filament printing, it's always upright, right? So the bottom of the print is at the bottom of the printer. In case of resin printers, by definition, it's upside down, because how it works, you have a container with a liquid resin, you have your bed or build plate at the top. The light is coming from the bottom through a transparent bottom of the container, and ultraviolet light is solidifying the resin. It doesn't really matter if it's a laser and it's a line, very similar to filament printer, or it's a DLP, so a beamer. The only difference is in speed, because if you use a beamer, the whole layer is solidified at once. But once a layer is solid, no matter if it's a beamer or a laser moving around, drawing the layer, then it needs to be pulled upwards from the liquid, just touching it, so that you can start solidifying the next layer. So in case of resin printers, you will be always printing upside down and to some extent pulling the model from the resin. Of course, you need to take into account that the level of the liquid is slowly going down, but that's a problem of the software of the printer. So this is the very basic distinction between the two. The filament printer is melting plastic and then it cools down, solidifying into our object. The resin printer is using a liquid resin that is solidified by ultraviolet light into an object we are going to produce. Obviously, filament printers are more popular, so they are more affordable. There's more information about them. It's easier to start, definitely. The properties of objects produced on filament printer are quite different from the properties of objects produced on a resin printer. We won't dive into details now, but if you have a very specific application of 3D printing in mind, it's definitely worth considering which one will be better. If you want a very detailed small objects that will be heat resistant, then likely resin printing is for you. If you want to produce quickly large objects, maybe a small scale production of items, then definitely filament printing is your choice. In case of filament, you also have more options for the material you are going to use. This technology, as mentioned, is more mature, so you will have a variety of filaments available. We'll talk about it in a filament episode. Yet it's worth to know before you jump into buying one or the other. Okay, so that's it for today. You have your options, either filament or resin. You have your abbreviations that are not needed, not useful, and boring. And thanks for listening. I hope it will be helpful to you. If you like the content, please subscribe. If you have any comments, please leave them down there. And talk to you soon. Bye-bye.